This week we have 3 more stories that Canadian HR Reporter's news team says will be making headlines in 2014. Our managing editor, Todd Humber, says efforts to establish Canadian right-to-work laws may begin to take shape this year. This type of legislation is becoming more common in the United States, and Todd says we actually don't have to look that far to see them in action. Michigan, which is really the home of the union movement, became a right-to-work state last year.
I think when right-to-work laws passed in Michigan, that caught a lot of eyes on this side of the border, especially in Ontario, which competes head-to-head with Michigan in a lot of sectors. In a roundtable on labor relations I moderated, labor lawyer Jamie Knight called right-to-work the elephant in the room, and he's right. In the not-too-distant future, we will see a government attempt to implement right-to-work laws somewhere in Canada. My bet is in Ontario or Alberta, and it will be met with a huge fight that will undoubtedly involve the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The Supreme Court will likely have the final say.
A lot of attention has been given to the issue of outsourcing. We only need to think back to last year's factory fires in places like Bangladesh, where workers are paid low wages and face unsafe conditions every day. Here in Canada, the controversy around the use of temporary foreign workers in an unstable economy has thrust the issue even further into the spotlight. Sarah Dobson, senior editor with Canadian HR Reporter, says HR professionals will want to pay attention to outsourcing in 2014.
So this year, for example, Loblaws vowed to improve the lot of the garment factory workers overseas. And RBC, after the controversy in the spring around its use of overseas workers, introduced a supplier code of conduct. So we'll probably see a greater focus on the ethics of outsourcing from HR. Also here in Canada, with the temporary foreign worker program, there were changes made around language requirements and advertising requirements and increased fees. So HR will probably be reconsidering the effectiveness of this staffing strategy.
The issue of unpaid internships found its way back into headlines in 2013, and our news editor, Liz Bernier, says the debate is far from over. Regulations around internships vary from province to province, which continues to lead to confusion for many employers, who are unclear on what interns are actually entitled to.
We recently saw the Ontario government introduce a bill that would give interns, co-op students, and other precarious workers protections under the Occupational Health and Safety Act. They could also get a longer time limit for claiming unpaid wages. We're also seeing increased awareness about the fact that interns are, in some provinces, actually covered under employment standards regulations, so we'll likely see even more public awareness of that, and maybe even stepped up enforcement efforts. We also have some interest groups and a private members bill pushing for a national urban workers strategy that would cover interns, so that idea may gain some traction in the new year.